Beth and Mark, Fridays at 8, here on AM 1480 WLEA. Oh, and here we are. Mr. Paul Harvey, rowdy and raucous as usual. Well, you know, before I say anything about anything, Brian, what a lead story this morning. What is going on there?
You talking about Senator Young?
Yeah.
Okay, yesterday I'm checking the Wellsville Regional News website, which I often do.
Yeah.
Good guy over there, Mike Baldwin, and story at top, it says breaking, unconfirmed. Sources are telling me locally that they're hearing that Senator Young is resigning in Albany. So I call Albany and get a bunch of answering machines.
Uh-huh.
And a short time later, Spectrum News breaks the story that she's going to work for Cornell University at some kind of agriculture and farming center there at Cornell.
Wow, that's really big news, because she's such a good state senator.
That's huge.
And she's been in office for quite a long time, and she's making a name for herself. So I wonder why she would resign.
Well, she was on the all-important Senate Finance Committee. She was the chair of that, which means that you chair the budget hearings. It was a pretty big job. Then when State Senator John Flanagan took over the Republicans in the Senate, he took her off that position. He also removed her from the campaign job. She was in charge of campaigning for the entire State Senate Republican Committee.
Wow. Well, Dr. Heineman is going to be your guest on the Newsmaker program.
Yeah, Dr. Heineman knows her well, so we should have some interesting details on that. That's all the background that I know on that. You know, removed from this job, removed from that job, and then ending up in the minorities in the Republicans. The Republicans used to have the Senate majority.
Right.
So.
Well, we'll find out a little more about that, maybe from Dr. Heineman. Well, you know, one thing I'm very, very happy for this morning. Have you heard? Now, we don't have anybody in the area that sells Mercedes-Benz, do we? I don't believe so, but there has been this ad. Now, Mercedes-Benz is a great car. They've been making cars for a long time, and they know what they're doing, and there's nothing as comfortable as a Mercedes-Benz. But just based on that ad that ran for a week or two, you couldn't pay me a cash prize to buy a Mercedes-Benz.
You were not a fan of the commercial.
Just based on that ad. It's either it's snobby or it's not. Either it's annoying or it's not. And just based on that ad, I would never, ever buy a Mercedes, although they are really good cars. I just thought I'd throw that in, just in case anybody sells Mercedes-Benz in the area. Okay, fine. Well, let me see. Friday is the best time of year, no matter when it occurs. And this week, it's occurring on March 1st, which we're told is the first day of the meteorological spring, as per our meteorologist, Rob Carolyn. Not the astronomical spring, which begins March 20th. Well, whenever it occurs, it can't come soon enough, because I frankly have had it with winter. That's it. I'm done. Matter of fact, I got stuck in the snow yesterday. That was fun. That was great fun. In fact, I'm thinking of starting a petition, which would read in part, "We the undersigned have had it with winter, and we seriously wish it would go away. Thank you very much." And the problem is, of course, I don't know exactly where we would send it and to whom we would complain. But it seems like a good start. It'd be a gesture. And at this day of gestures being all important, never mind the outcome, so long as a gesture is made, and that's all that would count. Okay, let me see here. The week started out with the windstorm that wasn't. I think it was more hype than substance. The National Weather Service said, "Good grief, look out, 75-mile-an-hour winds, reef the sails, batten down the hatches." And there were articles written on how to live through a windstorm. How to survive a windstorm. Really? It seems pretty simple. But I guess not. I guess we need instructions now on everything. And you know, I'm thinking here, when I wrote news on a regular basis, there were many times when I said, "Roads are snow-covered and slippery this morning, so give yourself plenty of time to get where you're going." You know, as a public service. Until one day I thought, well, wait a minute. If you need some schmo on the radio to advise you to give yourself extra time and to be careful on snow-covered roads, you shouldn't be driving a car in the first place. So then I felt like saying, roads are snow-covered and slippery this morning, so here's what you do. Wait until the very last minute, then rush around hysterically getting ready, then run outside, jump in your car, and drive real fast. And see how that works. So clearly, if roads are snow-covered and slippery, as a matter of fact, they are kind of snow-covered this morning, too. Anyway, let me see here. Well, in other regions, maybe 75-mile-an-hour winds, which is what the National Weather Service said. But here, at least in greater metropolitan Almond, where I live, the strongest wind I measured was 38 miles an hour. Now, that's hardly headline news. However, it did blow over 2 of our garbage cans, and I had to go chasing them down, and the garbage cans are going one way, and the lids are going the other way, so, And it also tore down an 8-foot section of lattice fence and shredded a 6-foot length of bunting. Nothing major, though. So we have a really neat, it's called an Accurite. It's a brand name. It's an Accurite weather station mounted on a pole on top of our garage. And the receiver is in our office. And this thing is so cool. It's a lot of fun. It measures all kinds of weather data, including wind speed. So unfortunately, there's no way that it measures the peak wind speed over a 24-hour period. So every now and then, if it gets really windy, I got to run inside and check it in the office and see what the wind speed is. Anyway, we had a 38-mile-an-hour wind. That's really not all too awfully bad. And there was a little bit of snow, just enough to be aggravating. I call it aggravation snow. You got to clean the car off, and you have to shovel, but not really too much. Just, as I said, just enough to make it annoying, And that was called Winter Storm Kiana. And when did we start naming winter storms? I don't remember. It's relatively recently, I think. So hurricanes we've been naming for years and years and years. We've been doing that for a long time. But winter storms, I don't know. Again, I think it's the marketing aspect. Marketing is really important. It's more exciting that way. Something you can really get worked up about and panicked about. Oh, speaking of marketing, for next winter, I've come up with a plan to deal with the ice, which plagues our driveway every year. I've decided that it's better to join it than fight it. So, instead of dumping bags and bags of de-ice around the driveway and endlessly chopping ice, I'll leave it alone. And next year, I'm going to open up a skating rink on our driveway. I'll place a couple of benches around the driveway, rent out ice skates, open a hot chocolate concession, and there you go, instant winter fun. I was trying to think of a theme for this week's show, and it occurred to me that there wasn't any theme to this week's show. So I think it'll just be a mishmash, a hodgepodge, a gallimaufry, if you will, of totally unrelated items. I found out years ago that if you write news, it pays to be sort of an adult ADD. You almost have to be interested in everything. So let's reach into the mixed bag here and see what we get. Now this, I have here, this appeared in Wednesday's Spectator. And the story is written by Jason Jordan. It was a report on the Common Council meeting this week. It was on Tuesday, the meeting. And the headline in the story, this was lead story above the fold. Landlords to be fined for tenant crimes. Landlords to be fined for tenant crimes. Now, I finally took a look at Wednesday's paper on Thursday. It was due to circumstances, I didn't see Wednesday's paper until Thursday. And it was a little late to try to get somebody on to talk about it. But apparently, let me see. The city of Hornell is making it harder for alleged drug criminals to live and deal in its neighborhoods with the strengthening of its criminal nuisance law. Now, when I started to do news here about 33 years ago, was it that long? Yeah, about 33 years ago, drug dealing was a big problem in the city of Hornell. And rundown properties were a big problem in the city of Hornell. And it has remained such. And there's not a day that goes by that you don't see a drug arrest. Apparently, it's worse now than it ever was. And law enforcement officials are out there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, trying to stop this thing. But it's really hard. And there are a lot of really nasty people out there dealing drugs. And so it's been a problem for a long time. So what the Common Council did on Tuesday, let me see. Now I'm quoting this. During a meeting of the Common Council on Tuesday, a resolution was carried unanimously that would trigger property inspections following a nuisance law arrest and a fine for landlords allowing criminal activity. And the law now states, it says in the article here, quote, whenever a person has been arrested within a dwelling within the city of Hornell for any offense defined within Article 220 of the Penal Law for the State of New York, said arrest shall result in a mandatory inspection of said property by the Codes Office of the City of Hornell to ensure that dangerous conditions do not exist within said dwelling. And in addition thereto, I love this legal stuff, and in addition thereto, the owner of said property shall be subject to a fine of no more than $250 for allowing the nuisance activity to exist within their dwelling. And I don't know. As I said, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea. But let's say that let's say a person is a drug dealer, okay, and they're dealing cocaine, or is there a call here, Brian?
Weather time.
Oh, already? Oh, well, I guess we're going to do the weather here and take a break, and then we'll be back.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from Major League Baseball, where the Philadelphia Phillies signed free agent outfielder Bryce Harper to the biggest contract in baseball history. It's a 13-year, $330 million deal. It includes a no-trade clause and has no opt-outs. NFL news, former All-Pro tight end Jason Witten is returning to the Dallas Cowboys after one season as an analyst for Monday Night Football. The team's all-time leader in receptions agrees on a one-year deal worth $3.5 million. NBA games of note, the Rockets beat the Heat 121-118. Houston rallied down 21 points behind 58 points from star James Harden. The Magic beat the Warriors 103-96. Golden State losing on back-to-back nights. While the Jazz beat the Nuggets 111-104. Denver misses a chance to take over the top record in the Western Conference. They remain a half game back of Golden State. 76ers over the Thunder 108-104. Ben Simmons a triple-double in the win for Philadelphia. Russell Westbrook a triple-double in the loss for Oklahoma City. College basketball, top-ranked Gonzaga no trouble beating Pacific 86-66 the final.
Okay, we have on the line a real live meteorologist, Rob Carroll. And Rob, good morning.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you this morning?
Good. Now, you mentioned a couple of days ago, I think it was last Friday, that March 1st is the meteorological first day of spring. Am I right?
It is, because we refer to as the winter months being December, January, and February. February's now done. The spring months are March, April, and May. Though, as we know, living here in the southern tier, that March can be a very wintry month. And the last couple of years, it's been very wintry. We've had a lot of storminess to contend with, and this one doesn't look like it's going to be any exception, Jonathan. It looks cold through at least the middle part of the month. We're seeing some indications that maybe after St. Patrick's Day, around the 20th to 21st of the month, the pattern may start to change milder, but we certainly look colder than normal for the weekend, and especially next week, and right on into the following weekend, and then hopefully we'll start to slowly transition out of it. Not a bad morning out there this morning. It is a bit chilly, but we've got some sunshine along with some passing cloudiness. All in all, we're in for partial sun today, and it's going to be seasonable. We should be 35 to 40 later today. Sunrise this morning was at 6:44. Sunset tonight at 6 p.m. That's good stuff. Just think, a couple of weekends from now, we'll be seeing the sunset after 7 p.m. because we go back to daylight savings time, not this weekend, but next weekend. Tonight, we'll see clouds head our way, 25. A lot of cloudiness for tomorrow. We'll run the risk of a few flurries and snow showers. Temperatures will be 35 to 40 tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow night, clouds, 20 to 25. Storm to the south may bring us a little bit of light snow Sunday afternoon, 30 to 35. That'll end Sunday night. And then look for temperatures to start to turn much colder as we head into the early part of next week. It'll be quite chilly by Tuesday and Wednesday, Jonathan.
Well, thank you very much. Just one quick question. Are you still there, I hope?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Now, the meteorological first day of spring is March 1st, but yes, I think it's called the Vernal Equinox or something.
Yeah, like the astronomical start.
Right,
yep.
the astronomical spring. Now, that starts March 20th. Now, am I correct in assuming assuming it's very dangerous, that the equinox marks the halfway point in the sun's journey north or south?
That's correct. It is the halfway point. On the day of the vernal equinox, which is March 20th, the sun will be directly over the equator. So it's not favoring the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. Days in both halves of the globe are of equal length for the night and the day. And then for the next 6 months, between the 20th and I think it's September 22nd this year, the sun will be spending its time in the northern hemisphere, and we'll see an increase in our day length as well as an increase in our daily temperatures right through the start of the summer.
Okay, well, let's go astronomical spring. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
You got it, sir. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
From the Fox Business Network, Tesla is losing money in its current quarter, and it is planning some layoffs. However, Tesla also is revealing its more affordable version of the Model 3 car for $35,000. Tesla is moving to an online-only ordering system. Its showrooms will become galleries to check out Tesla cars. Tesla also is hiring more service technicians to cut wait times for repairs. Love Old Navy? You'll be able to buy stock in the standalone company. It's being separated from its parent company, Gap Inc. Old Navy's sales made up nearly half of Gap's business last year. Gap also owns Banana Republic. The Dow made a comeback in January and February. It was the strongest 2 months for the index in about 3 decades. The Dow was down 69 yesterday. NASDAQ dropped 21, S&P down 7. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere, like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for a great deal. Only Dish offers free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at home. Save a bundle when you combine DishNet and high-speed internet with your TV service. Get more for less with Dish. Visit True Blue Satellite Systems, your authorized Dish retailer on Carr Valley Road in Almond, or call them at 607-276-2817. That's 607-276-2817 for details. Limited time offer. Dish TV and internet require separate 24-month commitments and credit qualification. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, auto pay with paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. DishNet not available in all areas. Again, that's True Blue Satellite Systems, your authorized Dish retailer, Carr Valley Road in Almond. Phone 607-276-2817, 607-276-2817.
And we are back, and I was telling Brian, there was so much stuff in front of me here. I got all kinds of stuff, and all of a sudden I have like 5 minutes left. Okay, fine. Let me see. Better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. That's right. Now, so far as this new law or ordinance or something in Hornell, where landlords can be fined for their tenants' crimes. Let me see. I think Mayor John Buckley is scheduled to be on the Newsmaker on Monday, and Brian is nodding his head. Good, very good. So we can find out a little more about that there. But in the meantime, let me see here. Mayor Buckley encouraged landlords to walk through their properties at least once a month to inspect smoke detectors and plumbing, as well as monitor for possible drug activity. Now, let's say that you're a drug dealer, okay? Let's say that, well, no, that's wrong. Let's say that somebody's a drug dealer, and they have all kinds of, like, cocaine or heroin or all that really nasty, nasty stuff in their apartment or house. Under New York State tenant law, a landlord has to give a tenant 24 hours notice. You can't just go walking in. You have to give them 24 hours notice. So I'm going to be there tomorrow at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something. And this nefarious tenant goes, Oh, okay. And all of a sudden everything's hidden or it's gone. So you could hide a lot of stuff in 24 hours. And short of going through their sock drawer or going in their clothes closet or looking under sofa cushions, how would you know? I mean, how would you know? Now, a landlord is allowed to enter a tenant's property in case of emergency, such as the place is on fire. Okay, that's an emergency. Or maybe a water line broke and it's flooding. That's an emergency. Or you smell natural gas. Well, if you smell natural gas, you wouldn't want to enter anyway. You'd want to get as far away as possible, as quickly as possible, and call 911. But in an emergency, you can. But if it's not an emergency, you have to give 24 hours notice. And that will give a criminal a lot of time to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I've watched enough TV to know that I watch a lot of cop shows. Making people who make meth or cook meth or whatever it's called, it stinks. The fumes are toxic. So you could probably smell that, okay? But short of that, I don't know exactly. And if you were a tenant, a law-abiding, good tenant, would you want your landlord inspecting the inside of your house every month? I don't know about that. It's a great law. We got to get rid of people who deal drugs because it's evil. It is evil and it's rampant all over the place. But there might be another way to do it, or maybe there isn't another way to do it. I have no idea. As I said, I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea. So maybe we'll find out a little more on Monday when Mayor John Buckley is on Brian's Newsmaker program. Okay, let me see. What else? There was so much this week. You know, here's one from Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Anyone who was around in the 60s and 70s had to be scratching their heads over this. Here's what happened, of course. The President of the United States and whatever he calls himself from North Korea, exalted leader, Grand Poobah, whatever, met in Hanoi, Vietnam. And while nothing came of it, you had to go, what? In Hanoi? Vietnam? Now Vietnam is our friend, apparently. No more North and South. It definitely had a dreamlike quality to it. It was just weird. Geopolitics is a really strange thing. One decade you're shooting at someone, and a couple of decades later they're your good friend. Go figure. Well, I guess that's it for the show, and, my email, studio1227, studio1227 at TWC, timewarnercable.com. Studio1227, TWC.com. See you next week. Bye.